Welcome, this is Ross Corrie from WebSphere. Welcome to Outsourcing Bites. This is our regular segment where we give short informational training on outsourcing. And today we're going to talk about the cheap versus quality paradigm. So let's talk about the most common paradigm with outsourcing. And it is, when it comes to outsourcing, the predominant paradigm is cost cutting or cheap labor. That's what people think of typically when they think of outsourcing. The trouble is adopting this paradigm without thought leads to problems. And this has been a pivotal reason why many businesses have failed with their outsourcing. So let's talk about the cheap labor paradigm. The thinking goes like this: the labor is cheap, it's not worth much, and therefore we won't spend too much time finding people. So people tend to think in terms of the labor being very cheap, and then therefore they don't place that much value on it, and they don't go to the effort of actually recruiting really good people. And then once you've recruited people, there's a tendency not to spend much time managing these people. In fact, the management often is considered some sort of burden, and so people spend as little time as possible managing the people. And there's almost no effort put into systemizing processes to make the outsourcing more efficient. This is one of the first steps and keys to successful outsourcing, is really systemizing processes well before outsourcing. And communications processes tend to get neglected. Often there isn't thought put into what sort of tools will be used for communication and how to do it effectively to make sure it works in the long run. And cultural issues just tend to get ignored altogether. The last thing which people think about is the job satisfaction of their outsourced workers. They think of it as cheap labour, so they're not really thinking along those lines. So where does all this lead? Firstly, low quality work. They've recruited low quality people. The processes aren't very efficient, and this produces low quality work. And this causes frustration, particularly in-house. They're very upset that the quality has gone down and the management time taken to get work redone. And also the outsourced workers themselves get frustrated because they feel unable to meet expectations. This leads to high turnover rates. The outsourced people just tend to vanish and disappear. They give up because it's no fun. And then the company itself, the business itself, tends to write the forehand outsourcing off as a failure, and they give up, which is a shame. So let's talk instead about the alternative paradigm for outsourcing right from the start, and that's to focus on quality. And the thinking goes like this: we suddenly have affordable access to great people. So notice how the focus isn't on cheap now. It's suddenly there is affordable access to really high quality, in some cases world-class talent. And because we can afford it now, let's get the best. Australian labour rates are expensive and relative to world standards, and there's also a shortage of labour in many areas. So it's very hard in Australia to find top quality people, and if you can find them, it's very hard to afford them. But once you start looking to outsourcing, this becomes possible. Therefore, you're going to spend some time recruiting. You're not looking for cheap labour now, you're looking for top quality people, and so you're going to put some care into the recruiting process. And of course, once you've actually recruited some great people, it makes sense to really look after them, because you want to keep them in the future. You want them to make a big contribution to your business. Also, you're going to spend more time refining and documenting processes before outsourcing, because this has a huge impact on the success of the outsourcing itself. So it makes sense to do that. And also there'll be a bit more energy and effort put into understanding the cultural and communication issues. Thought will be put into what sort of communication processes need to be put in place to ensure that the outsourcing is really effective. And finally, of course, which is often the original aim, you'll enjoy the cost savings. And in fact, using the quality paradigm, the cost savings will be more sustainable and generally bigger in the future as well. So in conclusion, focusing on cheap with outsourcing just doesn't work very well. The quality paradigm of outsourcing is far superior. And this is the case whether you manage yourself, so if you're actually directly employing the outsourcers, or whether you're using an outsourcing management company. So if you're using another company to manage your outsourcers, then you want to ensure that they're focused on quality, not just on cheap and savings. So thank you very much. This has been Ross Corrie for WebSphere, and we'll be back again soon with another Outsourcing Bite.